Hey business law students, welcome to week two's overview. This week we're going to talk about torts, we're going to talk about contract law, and we're going to talk about the different varieties of contracts that are out there. And we're going to look at the process, the real simple process overview of reaching an agreement. These are chapters 4, 6, and 7 in your text. Make sure you read those. All right, so because we're just going to hit the highlights real quick. There's a lot of material out there. Let's talk about torts for a minute. And like I said, I think back in the overview, the best way to think about a tort is it's torturous. It's people inflicting torture on you or you doing it to somebody else. Not real torture, hopefully, but you get the point. So a tort is a wrongful act, and it's causing injury to another person or another person's property, and then there's tort law dealing with how we interact as individuals when that happens to us. So classification of torts, I'm only going to cover one of these. I'm going to cover intentional torts, but there's other types as well resulting from negligence. You slip in, you walk into a store or somebody walks into your business and they slip and fall because you didn't, identify the steps or whatnot. That's negligence and you could be sued underneath tort law. Now there's torts based on concept of strict liability, and all persons, minors included, are legally responsible for their torts on other people. Let's talk about intentional torts for just a minute. It's deliberately inflicting injury. It's assault and battery, for example, false imprisonment, false arrest. Now, these often come with criminal law as well, following its criminal law too. But aside from the criminal aspect, there's also these tort laws, okay? So that's just a quick review of tort law. Let's look at contracts, and real simply, contracts are legally binding agreements between two or more people. And let's see, do I zoom in on this? Yes, there we go. So real simply, a contract has to have an agreement between two or more people. It has to be in consideration of something of value that's going to be exchanged by the parties. And each of the parties have to have the legal, the mental, and legal capacity to make that exchange for something that's under consideration, and it has to be legal. So drug dealers don't fall underneath contract law, okay? Just so you know. All right, what else we got? Let's look at the different variety of contracts that are out there. There are bilateral contracts, unilateral contracts. You can see informal, informal, express, and implied. Make sure you read about these in your course text. And then let's take a look at how an agreement is reached. Again, this is just really a real quick overview of how agreements are reached. There's generally, the way it works, there's an offer and an acceptance. And then there are terms that are made about that offer and the acceptance. Sometimes it's orally, sometimes it's writing. Or like it says here as well, by conduct of the parties. I always prefer it to be in writing, but if you do something orally with somebody regarding that agreement, make sure that, you trust them, okay? So, our son, for example, is remodeling our home. We have just an oral agreement with him. We didn't do it in writing because he's our son, he's a contractor, he's certainly qualified, and so we don't have a problem. But if it was with another contractor, even if I knew them, I probably would do it in writing. So, okay, so there's an offeror and the offeree. So the offeror is the one who makes an offer, and the offeree is the one who is the offer is being made to. So the best way to meet it is the offeree is receiving something, and the offeror is giving something. All right. So the offer is a promise made by one person to do something if another person performs an act or a promise. Okay, so then the acceptance by the offeree is going to receive something to do with the offeror request. For example, in a real estate agreement, the buyer is making an offer for land that the offeree will give back to the offeror if there's an exchange of money. All right, so that's a real quick overview of week 2. Make sure you're watching the devotionals and doing those discussion questions and the quizzes. And virtual office hours on Tuesday, 6 p.m. Have a great week. And remember, God is on his throne. He's always been there and always will be.